This is Broward Housing Solutions. We're here with Addie, and she's going to share with us her story.
Okay. Hi, my name is Addie, and I come from a small town called Leeds, Alabama. I come from a family of 7, 4 girls and 3 boys. And my mother, she was an alcoholic, so we wasn't forced to go to school or anything. So I ended up dropping out of school in the 9th grade. I'm sorry. I got into a very abusive relationship after I dropped out of school. And the relationship led me to hospital and stuff like that. So anyway, from that relationship, I turned to the streets. I turned to the streets of using drugs day after day after day after day, and living in abandoned cars and going back and forth in and out of prison and jails and stuff like that. At the age of 24, I was raped, and I was also beaten real bad, and I was placed in the hospital by me living on the streets. So when I got out the hospital, unfortunately, that didn't stop me. I started back using drugs and living a very unstable life. And so my mom passed away a year later. And when my mom passed away, unfortunately, it sent me even further back into the streets. And so I always never stopped praying that God will remove my lifestyle, the lifestyle I was living. I was hoping and praying that one day I could live a successful life. Before my mom passed away, her last wish was for me to stop using drugs, and that God had a plan for me. I didn't know what she meant at the time, but later on, after she had passed away, one of my counselors back home in Birmingham, Alabama, I called him for help, and he told me, he said, Addie, he was going to send me to a place I had never been before. I'm like, where? And then, because I'm only used to my little surrounding that I grew up in. So he told me he was going to send me to Florida. And I'm like, how am I going to live in Florida? You know, I have a problem. I need to come into recovery. I want to stop using drugs. I want to get off the streets. I want to have somewhere to stay. And he told me, he said, don't worry about it. I set up everything for you. So anyway, he made plans to send me. He sent me to Florida. And when I got to Florida, I went into a recovery house since I've been down here. I graduated from that recovery center. And then, unfortunately, I got back into an very abusive relationship that ended me up in the hospital. I stayed in the hospital, and when I got out of the hospital, I had to leave the place that I was in, so I ended up at Broward Outreach Center in Pompano. So I ended up there, and I graduated the program there, and then I left there, and I went to transitional housing. When I moved in transitional housing, I stayed there for a year. After I graduated that program, that's when my counselor told me that she had signed me up for Broward Housing Solution program. I didn't know what she was talking about at the time, but she has told me just continue doing what you're doing and doing good and staying clean. And that's what I did. And so upon graduating the program in transitional housing, I was called for an interview at Broward Housing Solution, and they let me know that they had somewhere for me to stay. I couldn't believe it. I really couldn't believe it, because I was tossed from shelter to shelter, from prison to prison, from car to car. I couldn't believe that I finally had some place of my own that I can call home. So since I've been staying in my apartment at Broward Housing Solution, I've been doing the right thing. My son came down to visit me for Christmas, and it was the happiest moment of our life. And I want to thank you, Broward Housing Solution, for making it all possible for me. Today I'm staying clean. I'm going on 6 years clean. I have a sponsor. I go to my meetings, and I do what I need to do every day to give back. Hey, my baby here. Hello, Merry Christmas. We're here. for helping make everything possible. I'm making my son bed up. Thank you, Broward House Solution, for making everything possible. We love you. Merry Christmas.